class, for this week's discussion board, I want to continue discussion from last week's topic that I chose, focusing on the New Deal and how that really affected the South's economy post-Depression era. One of the sources I found for this week is entitled How the New Deal Built Florida Tourism, the Civilian Conservation Corps, and the State Parks. So focusing again on the CCC's contributions to the South's economy. And that's written by David J. Nelson. And in his book, he shows how the CCC worked to build and improve state park systems to attract tourism to the Florida economy. The Depression um, really hurt the Florida economy because it was based solely on agriculture prior to, or much of the economy was based on agriculture prior to the Depression. But in efforts to improve the Florida's economy, the CCC started building, improving state parks around the state. They did things such as introduce, one of the things that I found interesting is they introduced things such as exotic species into the area to really attract those tourists by creating an image of a tropical oasis that would have been in most of the tourists' minds and what they were looking for vacation efforts. The effort commercialized tourism for the state, shifting the identity from a major agricultural-based society to that of the tourist industry. And he says the CCC proved itself a successful avenue for building infrastructure and offering political reward to local leaders at little cost to the state. So, again, a big impact for Florida, especially with the CCC post-Depression era. Another source I found is concerning the AAA, and it's entitled The South and the New Deal by Roger Biles. Specifically, Chapter 3 in the book that I looked at is entitled From Sharecropping to Agribusiness. And he says the plethora of the New Deal programs accelerated a number of changes across the South that involved agriculture. It involved an introduction of mechanization, new crops, and employment for a large portion of the rural workforce, and it led to a stimulation in the South's economy. Furthermore, Biles says that the face of the Southern farming market was transformed through the work of the AAA. I feel that this source shows how the AAA helped transform the South's agricultural community in the years that followed the Great Depression as well. And then finally, the third source that I looked at this week, and new to the list from last week, is entitled Rehabilitating the Region, the New Deal Gender and the Remaking of the Rural South. And it's an article that brings regional attention to a national issue. A lot of the work that we see about and concerning the New Deal is on a national spectrum. However, this article brings it more to a regional focus, specifically that of the South. In the article, the author says that the intent of the New Deal programming was to rehabilitate the South from a colonial-like condition so that the region and its residents could fully participate in the new consumption-based American democracy being created via the New Deal. The article focuses primarily on attributions of the FSA, or the Farm Security Administration, where the federal government purchased property and built farmsteads and centralized communities into which landless farmers were resettled. So rather than these huge plantations, these big farms operating across the South, that was mainly an establishment prior to the Great Depression. A lot of these people lost their farms as a result of the Great Depression. So the FSA comes in and they consolidate. The government buys these big farms. They divide them out amongst the farmers, providing them a place to live, providing them a place to work. My own community traces a lot of the economic recovery back to initiatives such as the AAA, the FSA, that helped revitalize the community. And I like to use these examples to bring a local aspect into the discussion for my students in the classes that I teach, both at the high school and the college level. I feel that that makes the historical evidence more vibrant and more viable for them to understand. Again, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great week and weekend, and I look forward to viewing your discussions as we near the end of the class.